This is Hockey Talk, where we talk everything hockey. I am John.
And I'm Mike.
I'm Chris.
All right, guys, let's go. Now, Chris has been a Carolina fan for as long as I can remember, originally known as the New England Whalers way back in 1971 from the WHA, then the Hartford Whalers from 1979 of the NHL. The team was then moved to Carolina in 1997, known as the Hurricanes, twice in the Stanley Cup Finals. And of course, in 2006, they won the whole thing against the Edmonton Oilers. Terrible.
Yeah.
This gave the state of North Carolina their only professional major championship. That's pretty cool thing to have. Now, Chris is also involved in a lot of hockey pools. He's been in hockey pools for years. I know he's won his fair share. Him and Mike definitely know each other and have been going against each other for a long time. And Chris is specifically good at knowing Carolina, but he also knows his NHL very well. And that's why we wanted to bring him on here tonight. We want to talk quite a bit about Carolina, and we have some other topics on the board. So, guys, our first topic is, of course, the Carolina Hurricanes. They were cruising right along, guys, in the Eastern Conference. A trade was made for Mikko Rantanen. Mike and I both thought, wow, this is really going to be it for them. They're going to just gobble this up and look out for the rest of the conference. Then Carolina started losing more games. Now, in their last 10, I believe they're 4-6, but they've been playing better lately, I noticed. I think they've won 2 of their last 3. Chris, tell us if Carolina should have made this trade. What do you think?
Yes, 100%. First, let's talk about who went the other direction, right? Marty Necas. For the past 3-4 years, I'm pretty sure the organization and myself have been aligned that Necas isn't him, especially come playoff time. The guy is allergic to the front of the net. And it didn't help that at the same time we had a guy named Jarvis also going down the wing. And Jarvis plays the game the right way, right? He takes the pucks to the net. He back checks. He does everything. And, of course, they signed him to an 8-year deal as soon as they could, but Necas, not once, but twice got bridge deals, right? That kind of shows where we were heading down this path. For Rantanen, for the past 6 years, Carolina's been in the playoffs. They've won at least one round, and the criticism has been not enough scoring, right? Traded for Gensel last year, right? They took the big swing because they had a real good team, and he walked away. Now they're taking a swing for Rantanen. What's going to happen long term is still up in the air, as we know about all the rumors circulating. But this year was a retool. They lost a lot of good players in the offseason, right? Brady Shea, the other defenseman, I can't think of the name right now.
Pesci.
And of course, Gensel. Pesci, my boy Pesci, right? A lot of good talent left out. This was a reset because we all know Nikishkin is coming next year. Brendan Morrow is probably going to, those two are going to be replacing Burns and Orlov. We're going to have $40 million potentially in cap space again, right? So I think they want to fill it with Rantanen, and I'm sure they're going to fill it with $14 or $15 million a year. That's their goal. That's their plan. But this was more of a pause, and then next year you're going to see them again, vying for the cup. Are they going to win the cup this year? I can't see it with a 40-year-old Brett Burns. He's definitely slowing down. Father Time always catches these guys, and analytically, and you watch him play, he's struggling now. So it'll be a miracle if they do anything this year, but I think for the future, they're set up. If Rantanen walks, they have the money. If Rantanen signs, I think later on we'll talk about what needs they might have, and I'll go into more detail at that time.
Yep. Well, before we go on, Mike, what do you think of that? Do you agree with Chris here?
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much right on the money when it comes to all of his points there. I think that the goal is still for them to sign Rantanen and sign him long term. So it's just a matter of him getting some chemistry going with the rest of the team right now, because that's what I think's been a little bit off. I mean, he's played with Aho before, so. Right. I figured that they would have gelled a lot quicker than what they have so far. But maybe it's just taking a little longer than expected. So we'll have to see.
Now, Mike, Carolina has been getting a few wins lately. Like I said earlier in our intro, I believe they won 2 of their last 3. I think they've won their last 2 in a row, I think. So
Yeah, they beat Calgary, or they beat was it Calgary a couple
Calgary,
nights ago?
Calgary, yeah.
Detroit.
Yeah, and then they won 2-1 last night. So
Right. So do you think that their losing stretch might be over, Mike, and it's up and away from here? Like, look out, guys, here we come.
I would think so. I mean, they're a pretty strong team, and I do believe some of their upcoming opponents are not the strongest, if I remember the schedule correctly. So if they can get a couple more wins here, um, plus going into the trade deadline, they're probably going to make a move of some sort. I don't think they're done yet. I think they probably get one more move to go. We'll see what it is. I'm not quite sure if it would be a forward or a defense. I would guess maybe a defenseman, but there's also been talk of maybe goaltending, but because John Gibson's name's come up, but
Well,
I
every
really
year.
don't see.
Every year.
I don't see a move for a goalie. That could just be some of the sports shows trying to create a buzz. So
That never happens.
yeah.
Okay, well, let's go on to our second topic then. Well, actually, no, I got one more question for you guys. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Now, this is for the both of you. Does the team have any glaring weaknesses that they may try to help out right away by making a trade? Now, you're just talking about goaltending. Are you talking about goaltending in the fact that you think they should, or just in the rumors that you heard?
I don't
I
think
want you
they
guys to
should.
both answer this.
Yeah, I don't think they should make a trade for goaltending. I think if they do this 1A 1B they've got right now with Kochetkov and Anderson, I think that that I think that should work for them. Now, whether or not what they do in the playoffs, though, like as we've seen what happened with Boston, they had their 1A 1B system, and then they deviated from it in the playoffs, and then they kind of fell apart when they did that. So it'll
Right.
be interesting to see. I think Kochetkov is probably the number one going in, and they may give him the bulk of the starts, but I'm curious to see what they do, because right now they've been pretty much alternating 50-50.
What do you say, Chris?
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to stay as is for goaltending. Gibson's been on the radar for at least 3 years. They obviously have never matched value for what they would trade. I believe, though, there's a strong chance Gibson will be a Carolina Hurricane goaltender in the summer. I think when summertime comes, because Anderson's a free agent, and that's probably time to pull the trigger and try to get Gibson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right. Well, now we'll go on to our second topic.
Well, just
This is
quickly,
for
I'll
the.
tell you for
Yep.
the you mentioned a need. I think right shot second line center, which is probably a need by majority of the hockey teams in the world, is something Carolina is looking for. And the name that's popped up previously and might come up again is Nick Smoltz in Utah. There's not a lot of guys out there, but he's one that I've seen Carolina sniffed around before.
And Utah they're basically out of the playoff picture, I believe. So why not, right? You never know. Okay, let's go on to our second topic then. Now, this is for both of you once again. Now, is Rantanen going to be traded again and shipped off to another team? Now, if you believe this, he could be traded again. Where do you think he could go? And just for anyone out there listening that's interested or wants to know, Rantanen has 1 goal and 3 assists in his last 5 games, so 4 points total, and he's averaged pretty much exactly 20 minutes a game. I added it up and checked it myself. So, what do you guys think? Well, let's start with you, Chris. What do you think?
I can't see anybody trading roster players for him. The word on the street is they've told him they're going to free agency, so no one's going to trade roster players. Carolina's not interested in picks and prospects. I fully expect he will stay unless some team knows that they're going to sign. I know Dreger mentioned L.A.
Right.
Maybe he wants to go to California. Maybe it's more of a lifestyle thing because LA is definitely their future does not look good. But that's what I'm hearing. If they do trade, like I said, I just can't see it happening unless some team's willing to give up their star player for him. And I don't think a playoff team is going to do that. So I think this would be a very tough trade if they wanted to move off him.
All right, what do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's going to go anywheres. The only, I mean, if they were to think about it, I think, and I don't think they will, but I think that Vancouver would come to mind for Elias Pettersson, only because Pettersson's been linked to Carolina in the past. So that would be the only way I could see it happening. But you know, I think they should stick with Rantanen and let things work itself out. Um, going into the playoffs, he's definitely going to give you more bang for your buck than I think Elias Pettersson would. So if they're looking at potentially winning the Stanley Cup, I think they're probably better off going with what they have. And then, you know what, if they were interested in Pettersson, that would be an off-season move, I think.
Okay, now I've got just one more point or one more question I want to ask you guys, and maybe you don't know this. Do you think that Rantanen wants to be in Carolina?
It's tough to say. I mean, there's hasn't really been like the instant chemistry. Like he hasn't, and I think like as he said, the shock of the trade. I think that's really kind of thrown him off his game a little bit. Um, now that it's been a few weeks, I think maybe now he's starting to come around. Like you said, he's put up some points there in his last few games. So, um, but I just think the shock of the trade is what kind of threw him off, and I think once he actually settles in, I mean, Chris and I have both been to North Carolina. It's a nice place. So, um, if it's his style, then he perhaps will stick around. But yeah, so that's what I think.
Chris?
Yeah, I think when you see this trade, Nature's note was ready to go. He probably was excited, and of course, he's in a great spot. You play with McKinnon, you're going to get points in McCarr. Ratnan, everything coming out of there, he was shocked. It's weird. You're going to free agency, but he seemed shocked. He must have assumed they were going to figure out a number, settle, and
Yeah.
sign there.
Right.
So I think it is kind of a shock. And two, the games I've been watching, he is creating on an offense. Carolina's just not scoring. Like he's making the plays, they're just not putting the puck in the net. Right? I do find that Aho is really forcing it to him, maybe a little bit too much. Right, really trying to get him the puck and not looking at others. That's like Mike mentioned, it's a chemistry thing. I think they got to just get that figured out. But he is a very good player. You can see it instantly, right? What he brings to the table, and
Well,
Yeah,
as good as Aho is,
top 10 player in the league. So
yeah,
as good as Aho is, he's not Nathan McKinnon.
no,
no.
So I mean, there's not going to be quite as much firepower there for sure. But and the media, they want to create rumors and stuff. Now we did talk, Mike and I did talk about this on a episode earlier on about how he was shocked about being traded, and we went on about it here some because I found the quote and how surprised he was. So I'm sure that he'll settle in. Like you said, I can't imagine a team trading a top end player for him and messing your team all up before the playoffs. It just seems unlikely to change the entire chemistry, but stranger things have happened. We'll see. Okay, we're going to leave it at that. We're going to go on to our third topic. We're going to leave Carolina for a bit. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about our good old friends in Montreal, the Montreal Canadiens, and Lane Hutson. Now, why? Well, he's become quite a hot topic lately. Now, he turned 21 recently, and a few nights ago, or last night, or whenever it was, he had 2 points. He reached the 50-point mark in 63 games for a defenseman. And as I checked it out, that is 11th all-time ever in the NHL. I was pretty surprised when I saw that. Now he reached that total in fewer career games, that many points. He also leads the NHL in the rookie scoring race this year. And I just wanted to know, Mike, do you think that Hutson can become an 80-point player in the NHL sometime? Or has
I
he
wouldn't be
just been getting really
surprised, to be
lucky?
honest with you. Do I think he would do much more than 80? Maybe not. But, he's playing on a team right now that generates most of their scoring off of one line. So, I mean, and he's getting a lot of points on the power play. Um, Yeah, 80 points is definitely reachable for him. And especially once that team gets a little bit better. And not only that, once he gets a little bit more experience as well. So, I mean, he's doing all this in his rookie year. He's close to a point a game already. So, and he did go through a couple dry spells there where he didn't
Yep.
do too much. Now he's hot again. He's getting points. So, yeah, I definitely think he can get 80 points.
Chris, did Hutson give any indication at all that he was going to be a 50-pointer plus this year? I mean, I didn't hear a whole lot about him before the season started.
I tend to try to avoid, especially in hockey pools, prospects from Canadian teams because they're always overhyped. And he was definitely one of them because his stats just in college, right? He averaged
Right.
over per game in college, and he was lighting it up there. But he was a small guy. And in Montreal, you're the next Larry Robinson or the next Guy Lafleur or Guy Carbonneau. So I try to avoid all that. I haven't watched or seen too much of him until last week when Carolina played Montreal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
His skating is very impressive. His mind, the way he thinks. He took the puck from Rantanen one time in the corner. Rantanen didn't even seem like he knew he was there. So very impressive skater, and their power play is cooking mostly because of him. Right? He's driving that bus in that power play. I would say I was very impressed with his skill set. How he's going to do in the NHL, being 5'9", 165. Defensively, I've seen the analytics and it's not good, right? But his skill level, he's going to find a spot in the NHL. He's going to play a lot. He's going to be a star, but they have to find a defenseman to help him, right? On 5-on-5.
Right.
Defensemen in the past have done well, right? Brian Rafalski. Like you can look at Adam Fox, right? Fox is a small guy, but
Yeah, he's a small guy. Yep.
they're a little thicker, right? Fox is a little thicker. Rafalski's thicker. Sturgeon, Jared Sturgeon in Minnesota, he's thicker. This guy's a small guy, so he's probably going to have some issues on the defensive end, but the offense is definitely worth keeping on your team if your power play is going to be running top 5 every year. It's a no-brainer, right?
Man, if the Montreal Canadiens could get any semblance of a decent second line, that team could win some games.
Yeah, they definitely got defense and depth issues, and I don't think their goaltending is what they expected, but the pieces are slowly coming about. I don't think the new hook trade. I don't know if anybody would consider that a win.
No.
Some other moves really haven't turned out, but they got Hutson and he's looking real good. And yeah, still a few pieces away. I don't think
Oh,
they
yeah.
should plan any championship parades anytime soon. But
Well, you
got a
got to
lot of
start
draft
somewhere.
picks, a ton of picks. So
Right. Yeah. You got to start somewhere.
Some of the hits that they've had are Hutson and Caulfield, but for each of those that have panned out really well for them, they bungled on Kirby Doc, New Hook. So these
Yep.
guys that they thought were going to be better than what they are, they're not. Kirby Doc's hurt all the time. Once again, he's out for the season. So, and in one of our hockey pools, I picked Lane Hutson, and I was hoping for 40 points. I would have been happy with 40 points, and he's going to far and above what I was expecting he was going to get. It looks like he's going to get over 60 the way he's going. So at his current pace. So, yeah. So I mean, they've really got to make these picks that they've got in the drafts coming up. They really got to make them count. They can't miss on players like they did with although they traded to get Kirby Doc and Alex Newhook, they were counting on them to be point producers, and they're not going to be. So, and plus one of the other drafts not that long ago, they picked David Reinbacher, who looks to be more of a defensive type of defenseman. Keeping in mind they passed up on Michkov to pick him, so thank you. So
you had to get that in there, huh?
well,
Of course. Of course.
I get a shot and I got to take it. So,
all right. Well, we're going to move on to our fourth topic. Now, this is something that I thought was quite interesting when I saw it. The New York Islanders goaltender Ilya Sorokin He's credited with his first career goal when Nashville Predators forward Steven Stamkos sent a pass into his own net in the final seconds of the New York Islanders' 7-4 win on Saturday. The question I have is, because we are seeing more goalies being pulled more often for longer in the NHL now, are more goalies going to be credited with more goals? What do you guys think? Let's start with you first, Mike.
I don't think that we're going to see a lot more, just because the goalies are getting pulled earlier. The only time you're ever going to see a goalie attempt to try to score a goal is when there's a 2-goal difference. You're not going to see it when there, or even more than 2-goal difference, if that ever happened. But it's not often that you see the goalie pulled if it's more than 2-goal difference. A 1-goal difference, they don't want to be the one that tries it and gives it away horribly, and then it ends up in your net, and then the game's tied. So I really don't think that we're going to see much of it. I mean, and I'm not sure if you saw the play that he got credited for it, but he made a blocker save, and then Stamkos picked up the puck and went to pass it to the defenseman that
Right.
wasn't there. So, that's all fluke. That's not going to be a common occurrence, in my opinion. So, I mean, but that goal by Stamkos kind of got him on the right track because he scored a couple more there in the last game they played. So
he was probably pissed. What do you think, Chris?
I'm more aligned with you, Whitey. I think the extra pulling goalies so much earlier mathematically states you're going to have more opportunities to score goals, right? Goalies are going to have more opportunities. And like I've seen goalies get pulled with 6 minutes left, right, when they're down 2 or 3 goals, and you're just like, holy geez, I guess you're trying to. But I know in Carolina, our goalie Kokechov, right, his quote is "No think, I go," which means it doesn't matter if it's just a 1-goal lead. If he has an opportunity to shoot that puck down the ice, he's going to do it. But yeah, I think I just think there's going to be more opportunities, and there's some goalies out there that can really launch it to 200 feet, no problem, right? So
Right, yeah.
It's
not like 25 years ago where there was only 1 or 2 goalies that could really handle the puck.
Yeah. And people are pulling goalies pulling the goal with 1 minute left, right? So the opportunity was a lot less.
Mm-hmm. Now pulling a goalie with 2.5 minutes left is common.
It's 3, 4,
yeah. 3 minutes is not unusual.
Yeah.
So, all right.
I'll just add one point though that
sure.
There's a certain team represented here on this call that past couple of years have been told has like 3 franchise goaltenders, right? So I'm assuming one of these guys can shoot the puck 200 feet, and I expect he'll break the record of 3 goals. That's my fortune telling for today.
Because the record is 3 goals. Brodeur has 3 goals credited to him.
One of these franchise goalies in Philadelphia, they're going to score 4. Guaranteed.
He's the only goalie that's been credited with 3 goals. There's been 20 goals total scored by goaltenders, and 3 this year, believe it or not. I was quite surprised when I saw that. Could be more of a fluke, but
the Pittsburgh goaltender, he's got 1 in junior, 1 in the AHL, and 1 in the NHL, I believe.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
He's already got 1 in each of the different leagues, and he can really handle the puck. So,
well, do either one of you guys believe that any NHL goalie will finish his career with 3 or more goals and tie or beat Brodeur? What do you think?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It's tough to say. I don't know. I mean, it's possible, I guess. I mean, who knows down the road? There might be some guys coming up there that are even better at handling the puck than what the guys that are currently there are able to. So, but I don't see any of these Flyer goalies scoring. I'll tell you that. If they can just handle the puck to keep it out of their own net, I'll be happy. So.
Are you happy when they go behind the net to stop the puck, or would you rather they just stayed the hell in the net?
No, you gotta make the effort to try to intercept some plays. You can't let everything go around the board. So for the amount of times that a goalie gets caught out of position behind the net, it's worth the risk. I mean, you got to break some of these plays up. So
and help the defenseman from getting smashed into the boards.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, that's it for that part. Now we're going to go on to our Hockey Profit segment. And after the Hockey Profit, we'll go back and I'll ask you if there's anything else you want to talk about tonight, okay? So now I have my timer all ready. And this is the Hockey Profit segment where the both of you are hockey prophets. At least that's what I'm saying. Are you gentlemen ready?
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead.
Okay, number one is for Mike. How many points is Lane Hutson going to finish the year with, Mike?
I'll say 68.
68. Okay, very
68.
specific. Okay, number two is for Chris. How many moves are the Carolina Hurricanes going to make by the trade deadline?
One.
One more move?
Yeah.
Okay, number three for Mike. Hot or not, Mike, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, they did lose their last game in a shootout. Are they hot or not?
Right now, I'd say not. I mean, Wall looked pretty bad against Pittsburgh the other night, and
And they're on their West Coast road swing here.
yeah, and then they coughed up the lead against San Jose. So,
Yep.
uh, yeah, right now I'd say not.
Okay. Number four, Chris, hot or not, the Washington Capitals, who are 5-3-2 in their last 10 games, hot or not?
Not. Um, the Capitals are the outlier team of this hockey season.
Oh, we've been talking about that all
Uh,
season.
the analytics don't support it. The goaltending is ridiculous. That Alex Petros or whatever, the 6'5" guy, is shooting at 26, 27%. I've been waiting for them to fall off. I know they keep winning, but when you got the best goaltending and you got guys scoring like, look, Wilson got 27, 28 goals, it's just like, it's not sustainable.
Okay.
I would think they're a team that won't make it past the first round.
All right.
I
Fair
don't.
enough. Okay. Number five, Mike, do you believe the Seth Jones trade was good for the Panthers for this year's playoffs?
Absolutely, great move for them, especially now with they lost Montour in the offseason,
Yeah, they
and
did. Yeah.
he's going to be the replacement because they never really replaced Montour with anybody that they brought in. They brought in Boquist to start the year, and he didn't pan out. So
Right.
you're getting a veteran player that's got skill that he's going to fit in right in there with that team with Ekblad and Forsling and the other guys that they've got. Yeah, it's going to be a very good move for them.
And Montour had a great playoffs last year, too, or really good anyway. So,
Yeah.
all right. And finally, number six, this is for Chris, and I'm sure the two of you guys will be very glad when this is all over with. Chris, do you wish the Hurricanes would move back to Hartford?
No, Raleigh's a great place. I've been there a couple of times now. I really like it there. Easy to get around. The Whalers situation. There's two things that caused them to leave.
Okay. What is it?
86, Patrick Roy and Nets, Claude Lemieux scoring a Game 7 winner. They had a parade after losing in the Adams Division Finals, right? They had a parade in Hartford for getting that far and having that opportunity. And then the Ron Francis trade.
Most underrated player in hockey, Ron Francis.
That ruined it, and that basically was the path for them to leave Hartford, unfortunately. Yeah. Those are the two big events. If things would have changed. If they win the Cup in 86, they're probably still there.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Francis
yeah,
isn't getting moved, right? Yeah.
Well, you guys did that in 3 minutes and 10 seconds, which is pretty good considering there were 6 questions and we went on a little bit. But now I'm going to give the floor to you guys. Is there anything else that you wanted to go over in tonight's episode? Mike, was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
Well, it looks like the Tampa Bay Lightning are going all in again this year. They made a trade this afternoon to get Bjorkstrand and Yanni Gord from Seattle. Paid a price to do so. Gave them 2 first-round picks. So, yeah, but Tampa's known to do that. Tampa's a team that doesn't rely on their first-round picks. They seem to find these diamonds in the rough along the way.
Right.
Like Kucherov when he was drafted, he wasn't a super high draft pick, and now he's like one of the best players in the game. Then you've got Brandon Hagel, who they basically got him from Chicago. I know they gave up they gave something up to get him. However, he turned into a very serviceable player for them. So Tampa always finds a way to just find these guys, and I think a lot of it has to do with the team culture they have there. Um, doesn't hurt that they've got one of the best goalies in the world in Vasilevsky, one of the best forwards in the world in Kucherov, and then they surround these guys with strong players and players that know their role and how to fit in well on that team. So these two pickups are going to be really good for them. Gord's played there before. Bjorkstrand's a pretty versatile player. He can play pretty much anywhere throughout the lineup. So it's a good move on Tampa Bay's part. Really makes them a threat now in the East. Whereas, going into the season, it looked like, maybe they're kind of on the downside. And I know one of our episodes early in the year, I know that you had questioned whether or not Tampa had enough to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I did.
So I think they're put themselves in a very good position. I know they still have a little bit of cap room left, so not sure if they make another move or not, or if this is it. But who knows? It might be another battle of Florida here in the first round, depending on how this Atlantic Division shakes out.
And they have been winning nonstop. And what have they won? 7 in a row, 6 in a row, something. I think it's 7.
Won 9 in a row until they lost to Florida. So
9 in a row until they lost Florida. So it's pretty good. Chris, anything else you wanted to add to tonight's episode?
Well, just to add on to the Tampa talk, yeah. Sean Cooper knows what he wants, right? They have their stud players, stud goalie, stud forwards, and he's like, I want my third and fourth line to be hard to play against. That's their MO. The Janot trade fell flat, but they keep picking up these guys that are hard to play against. They're definitely all in. 5 years from now, they're going to probably be the Blackhawks and Detroit Red Wings because of all these picks they've given away. But Kucherovs and Vasilevskys don't come around very often, and have and Hedman. Can't forget Hedman. Exactly, yeah. When you got 3 guys like that, you're all in, right? Unlike Pittsburgh, who should have probably pulled the plug a few years ago. Tampa Bay, these guys are still in their prime, and they still have enough guys, and they have the team built that they want for a Stanley Cup run.
Right, yeah. Pittsburgh, it's done and over for them. Tampa, there's still a chance, and they're very dangerous. I would not want to play them in the playoffs. If I was Florida, I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs.
Yeah, and not very only dangerous. That, I mean, a lot of people questioned whether, letting Stamkos go and bringing Gensel in was the right move. And, if you look at it now, it's like night and day. Clearly the better move. Like Stamkos has really dropped off quite a bit. I mean, and part of the reason I think he's dropped off is I don't think he wanted to leave Tampa, and having to go somewhere else was kind of, kicking the balls basically for him to leave. But Gensel, perfect fit. He's got like 30 goals right now, roughly 29, 30 goals. And,
right.
They've got Braden Point. So, I mean, Tampa's a pretty solid roster the whole way through. So, they've gone from being, one of those teams going into the year where it looked like maybe they could be a wild card spot or the third place team. And, they could still win the division. Like, I mean, they've been that good lately, and the moves they made today is only going to make them better.
Before we do leave tonight, I wanted to ask Chris, because I meant to actually ask this in the intro and I forgot. Chris, how long have you been a Hartford Whalers fan? Like how long ago did that happen? Do you remember?
1984.
1984. And how old were you then? 11?
Yeah. When I came up to Moncton from Trinidad, the New Brunswick Hawks was the AHL team here, right?
Yep.
And the affiliates were the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Chicago Blackhawks. So initially I was like, oh, the Blackhawks. I like their album, everything. That looks pretty cool, right? And Larmer and Esposito and Murray Bannerman, they were cool players. But 2 years in a row, 82 and 83, they got smashed by Edmonton in the conference finals. And I'm talking smash. If you look at the scores, they got destroyed in the conference finals both times, right? I hated the Edmonton Oilers. And then in 84, CTV had their Sunday afternoon hockey games. They ran that for maybe, I don't know how long they ran it for. It was only a couple of years, but and they had a game, Hartford Civic Center, Hartford hosting the Edmonton Oilers. At the time, I didn't realize Gretzky didn't play, and I think Curry didn't play that game, but Hartford beat them pretty bad. I liked the colors of the jersey. I liked everything about it. They beat Edmonton. I'm like, yeah, I think I'll start following these guys. And then, of course, the 85 playoffs when they lost to Montreal. I think that's where the emotional attachment came about, right? Because that was on Hockey Night in Canada. Saw every game without it, and right? And yeah, I think that's where the emotional attachment came to. Yeah, I'm a Hartford Whalers fan.
Mike, how long have you been a Flyers fan? It's been a couple of years, huh?
Yeah, pretty much like the same time frame as Bagel with Hartford. I've been a Flyers fan since they had since Pelle Lindbergh was playing. So, and that was early '80s. And then they brought, they had a younger team that played hard. They had Mike Keenan as a coach, who some people may not like Mike Keenan's style, but I mean I love Mike Keenan. Then they had Hextall and Tocchet and Poulin and Prop, and a really hardworking team, physical team, and I've always liked the physical style of play. So just and the colors, love the orange and black. So yeah. So like I said, early '80s, same thing. I couldn't pinpoint a time for you, but I know that Pelle Lindbergh, he was unique because he was the only one at the time that wore that style of mask, the all
I
white mask.
remember the mask.
And to me, it set him apart. He was younger. Unfortunately, tragically lost his life, which really sucked because he was one of the best goalies in that time frame. So you look at comparison from then and today, huge difference. But at that time, I mean, he had a really bright future. Flyers, contended for the cups. They played against the Oilers, and I mean, and then they made some series close against Edmonton too. And I mean, Edmonton was loaded back then, so the fact that they could compete with the top teams like that, it was easy for me to be a fan. So, and not only that, I mean, I know a lot of Montreal fans, and they all hated the Flyers, so kind of made it a little easier to cheer for the underdog, I guess, at the time. So
Not now, though, right? Montreal fans
it's
love
still the
Flyer
same.
fans, right?
No, they don't.
No, there was when Hartford lost to Montreal. I'm pretty sure everyone in my classroom was a Montreal Canadiens fan, so that drove the hate for that organization.
Well, I think that's a great place to leave it for tonight. So we're going to leave it there, folks. Like, share, and subscribe. And let us know in the comment section where we went wrong. That's what the comment section is for. And I'm sure we got lots wrong tonight. So we'll see you next week, folks. Later.
Later.
But